Hey, it's our Paralyzed Math Industry, and we are going to take a look at the real GDP. So in the last video, we were looking at nominal GDP, but this one is about the real GDP. And the only difference between the two is nominal focuses on the price and the production, but real only talks about the production. The real GDP will talk about different years that have gone by and how the economy is doing. This is a frequent way and a really good indicator to know, well, how is the economy doing? So we are going to go back to this thing again. So instead of doing what we just did yesterday, we're going to go to the formula. So since the governments will usually say, well, how is the economy doing? The formula kind of does make sense because we're going to base it off of what happened last year and the year before, based off what will happen this year, and guess what will happen the year after. We will have parentheses, the price of the product, by as a subscript because it's called the base year, multiply that by the quantity, parentheses, and we have to add that by the price and the base year times the quantity, but in parentheses. But hang on, what is the base year? Well, the base year is the year that we start recording off of. Because if we want to understand how the economy is doing in terms of we compare it last year and this year and the year before and the year after, we are going to start at year number 1 and start calculating right from there. So going back to the math formula, it kind of does make a lot of sense because we want to see, is the economy doing great or is it doing very terrible? So here's an example. We're going to do year 1. What we're going to do is 10 times 120. So we're going to write that right here. So 1 is 10 times 120 in parentheses. And we have to add that by parentheses 12 times 200. And when we do the order of operations and the calculations, we are going to get, for year number 1, 3,600. But wait a minute. Wasn't this the exact same scene from last video? No. But the only thing that's the exact same thing is the calculations and the number. The reason why is, going back from nominal GDP, we were only looking and calculating across. When we do the real GDP, since we started at year 1, the first time we go through the calculations, we have to go across. And now, let's compare it to year 2. So, what happens after year 2? Instead, we are going to focus on the base year, and the mathematics is going to look a little bit different. So, pay close attention. So, in this case scenario, we're going to stick with year year 1. But we're going to say 10 because that's the base year. So we're going to go 10 times the quantity of the flex wheels is going to be 200. Since it is year number 2 compared with year number 1 to see what is happening and how we're doing. So times 200. Then we have to do parentheses plus parentheses 12, because that's the base year of the price of watermelons, times 300, because that's the quantity of watermelons in year number 2. So we are going to do 12 times 300. And when we do the calculations and the order of operations, we are going to get an answer of 5,600. So this is a different answer for question number 2. from nominal GDP. This one only talks about how America or how the country is doing in terms of production-wise. So this calculates production, not prices. And for number 3, we do the same thing with number 2, but focus on year 3. We are going to do for number 3, 10 times 180. So year 1, the price is the base year, and 180 because we're trying to find the quantity with the flex wheels for year 3 and compare it. Parentheses, we have 12 times 275. And when we do the calculations and the order of operations, we get an answer of 5,100. So in this case scenario, we can say that from going from year 2 to year 3, the economy went down a little bit, which is not a good sign. So when we take a look at the previous questions, when it went from 3,600 to question 1 to 5,600 and then to 5,100, that can tell you that the economy went up, then it went down again. That is why when we compare it with the other years that happened before, we can get a good understanding what might happen in the future. And that's why we compare the prices and the quality from the base year. And that is the real GDP. How is the economy doing? Well, let's look at the real facts. I hope this video has helped you understand the real GDP. Thank you for watching Tao Ping Life's Math Industry. Like and subscribe.